everyone, I'm Sylvain Carle, Senior Director at SecondMuse Capital.
Why don't you begin by introducing your organization then in the context of its climate tech potential?
Climate tech is one area in which SecondMuse intervenes. SecondMuse has been in existence for almost 15 years now as an agency for impact and innovation. So in the last decade, we've been working on with large companies on open innovation, supporting entrepreneurs, sometimes through challenges, hackathons. We run the NASA Space App Challenge as one example. In the context of climate, we ran a Future Economy Lab, which was a consulting process in Montreal. I partnered into that while I was still at Real Ventures, with SecondMuse, the McConnell Foundation, La Maison d'Innovation Sociale, really to look at what could we help support in the emergence of entrepreneurs for climate as the sector that we had identified. So that's the kind of process that we do at SecondMuse.
Really interesting stuff, Sylvain. So you're based in Montreal. How would you describe Montreal's innovation ecosystem for clean tech or climate tech? Who are some of the main players that are driving this ecosystem and also helping attract investment into it?
What's interesting is that we have decades of both, I would say, a progressive society around ecology, the environment, but also equality, parity. So a great base of potential and of social engagement. Social economy is super strong in Quebec. Through co-ops, through different types of organizations. So this type of organizations have now been embracing innovation more recently, broadly. And from, I guess, the other side of the same coin, tech innovation, the startup scene in Montreal, combined with another few decades of research, really strong research centers in all our universities, have created this melting pot, this perfect storm, great conditions for innovation to happen. One challenge that we've seen, that's evolving and it's progressing really nicely, is that we had a gap between the intellectual capital we had in research, but then the application and the commercialization or the deployment of this research has not been as fast or as wide-ranging as it could have been, or as we've seen in other ecosystems. The spirit of openness and collaboration and trust that exists in Montreal is something special. I thought that every innovation ecosystem was like that, but after traveling to several of them and visiting people and inviting people in, really realizing that this openness and collaboration is not something that should be taken for granted. It comes with a certain level of trust, but also curiosity and creativity, I would say, that you find in Montreal and in Quebec and in Canada generally.
So obviously you deal with a lot of stakeholders, a lot of people of all sorts, investors, entrepreneurs, innovators, etc., in the ecosystem. What is the availability of talent in Montreal, and what is being done to attract, to train, to retain talent in the region?
Well, that's actually one of the most awesome thing about Montreal. So Montreal is both a university city. So there's a lot of great students, researchers coming out from our network of universities and also research centers. It's also an immigration city, right? So just like Toronto, Montreal welcomes a bunch of immigrants every year. So this adds to the social tissue, the social fabric of the city, and creates those new sparks with people coming from different perspectives. As I was saying, progressive society, quite inclusive and diverse. Not enough, I would say, yet, but on a good path. That's been part of the culture. So that creates a good soil, I guess, for new to plant and to grow new ideas and new businesses and new organizations. So the shift from manufacturing transformation to service to knowledge industry has happened quite fast in Montreal, and is now the knowledge industry. If you include gaming studios, if you include technology, IT, startups, this is the biggest sector in Montreal. So it has grown the fastest and now represents the biggest sector in Montreal. The Montreal International website has a bunch of studies on this. I think the last part is that because of the culture and the talent pool, we've seen, especially around AI, an amazing amount of new research center, private, public, being opened in the last few years, and that's also a great influx. So Montreal has to connect in and out, right? So you have to invite people in, and you have to connect out. So that's been done at a level unseen elsewhere, right? The Montreal International, the agency that works for attracting these organizations, has won last year like the top prize in the world for the type of organization. So they've been doing a great work. So with great assets, I would guess, we're finding the recipe for people to benefit from what we have built.
You mentioned AI, and I'm wondering, as you look at AI hubs around the world, because there are others, of course, they're all a bit different. And I'm wondering if there is something in Montreal that makes it unique, or if there are specific, maybe subsectors under clean tech or climate tech that you think Montreal excels particularly at.
It's the combination of the raw talent in what we now call digital intelligence, right? So you have organizations like Mila or Ivado in Montreal that are fantastic research hubs working across universities with public and private organizations. So this digital intelligence being applied to different sectors. So it's really the combination of what you can do with digital. So the digitization of the different sectors for me represent the greatest opportunity, because with the digitization you can measure with data, but with algorithm you can evaluate, you can alert, you can predict, and then you can prescribe. So for climate, that's exactly what we need to do. We need a planetary system of data that allow us to have a finer knowledge of what's happening from a meteorological perspective, from a geological perspective, in the ocean, in the air. And with this information, be able to take better decisions and also know if we're on the right pathway towards some of the goals that we've set as a country. And this is true for the country. This is true for provinces or state. This is true for cities, because the city of Montreal has ambitious targets that they've set publicly on their website and in the policies. But this is also true for companies that need for their own targets, for their own decarbonization targets, to get a more efficient and more optimized process. This is often how you get the biggest gains in terms of decarbonization. We'll be using this digital intelligence, and especially in Quebec, because most of our energy is already clean. I think it's like 95% or 99%. Most of the gains, if you look at the pie chart of the different sectors, emission by sectors, you can see that the industrial sector will benefit more by optimization and efficiency. Same thing for agri-food, transportation, which is the biggest. Either if you look at the Quebec pie chart or the Canadian pie chart, transportation is the biggest piece of the pie. So we have these research centers on supply chain, on smart mobility, on smart cities, or resilient cities, maybe we should call them now. So I think that the as I said earlier, the ingredients are there. We need to try a few recipes, because I don't believe there's not going to be one silver bullet to help us with climate. We need to try like hundreds of things, but we need to measure them to see what works.
Now, looking into the future, what do you see on the horizon for Montreal and for Canada's clean tech industry? And what trends do you observe that you think will shape the way the industry evolves in the region in the future?
The challenge and the opportunity are the same. You can't work on climate in your own small bucket, right? You can't be like the biggest fish in a small bucket in the Canadian perspective, or even if you look at your city or your province. It has to be international collaboration. And we have the potential, we have the innovation potential, we have the research potential, we have the entrepreneurial potential, but we haven't fully realized those. And so we need better coordination across cities. I'm really excited about the LC3, the Low Carbon Cities Canada network, where you have 7 different cities or regions collaborating together with climate funds in each city to help fund projects that will help decarbonization. You have amazing programs like SDTC, Sustainable Development Technology Canada, where they have funds to help entrepreneurs and organizations launch new innovations that will help towards a cleaner economy. And then you have also social pressure. And I think we need more of that. If there's one piece that could be amplified, we need more social pressure on making sure we have the right policies, that they're implemented, and there's follow through. And there's the budget available for these things to happen.
I could ask you questions for a long time, but I think we're reaching the end of the interview. So I want to give you an opportunity to pitch in 30 seconds or less, international investors looking at clean tech or climate tech in Montreal. Perhaps you could also highlight some of Montreal's unique selling points, but again, in 30 seconds.
One unique aspect of Montreal that I didn't mention is that it's also a city that hosts many different international organizations. And so I think this combination of international organization, research centers that are connected all over the world, Canadian entrepreneurs now have the right level of ambition. This is something that was we didn't compare favorably. If you look at the startup genome reports and you look at the different Canadian cities, all the indicators are green, like growth, talent, innovation, funding. Everything is there and it's happening, but maybe we don't boast about it as much as other cities. So maybe we still need to work on that. We still need to work on representing ourselves better. But everything we have is world class. And has been. It's not so much, it's still a little bit of a hidden secret, but not for long, I would say, or not for everyone. That knowledge is spreading fast.